Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials on any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Okay, so first question which I have in my mind is what is Git? What is Git? Okay, many times I get confused about it. What is Git? When I when I go study and uh, I try to know about the Git, I find it out. Git basically is a versioning tool. Okay, this is a versioning tool. But the question is, okay, versioning tool for what? For what? So basically, Git a versioning tool for source code. I repeat, source code. The file which is in a code format. Code format means, in a simple way, if I say anything which you can open with a notepad, which you can read it, the content which you can read it. So Git is designed for versioning and for versioning a source code in simple way. Now, then I am getting a questions in my mind. Okay, fine. We had so many versioning tool in the past, source code management tool, versioning tool in the past. For example, we had RCS, okay, then we had a CVS, then we had a SVN, and many tools like we had a Perforce, we had a Clearcase, we had a Mercury. So many tools we had it. So why we need a Git actually for that? Why we are using Git? Because we had so many tools already we've been using from last 20 years, 30 years. So why do we need to learn and use a Git compared to others? So we can discuss on this. Huge list of differences are there, but one of the difference which we have is Git is a distributed. Okay, now this is a very important statement in Git. This is making a Git separate from all other tools which we have discussed: RCS, CVS, SVN, Git, and SVN, Perforce, Clearcase, and all stuff like that. Okay, so let's understand the difference between distributed and centralized. Okay, centralized server and client model. So see here, all these tools which I am talking about, like RCS, CVS, SVN, Perforce, Clearcase, Mercury, all this thing, there we call it a server and client model. What is a server and client model? Let's discuss. So this is a one server, okay? This is the one server. Think simple. And this is the server, have a some IP address. And now in this, you have a repo. Here you have a repo. This is a repo. Now this repo is been managed by one software. Okay, think simple. This is a repo and the repo is managed by one software, and this software either you can call it CVS, SVN, Perforce, or Clearcase, whatever it is. Now this repo is divided into two parts typically. One is like a database and one is a file. Okay, mind it here. Repo is divided into two parts. One is a database, one is a file. In a database, what you have? In the database, the content you will have something like a metadata, like who has modified that code, when it was modified, why this modify, all these questions you'll be having, and the files on which it got modified. So typically this is architecture. Now all the versions will be here. All the versions will be here in this database. So if you want to work with the code, then what you have to do, you have to, this is your laptop, and here you want to have a client installed. Okay, think simple. So when you have a client here, such as CVS client, SVN client, Perforce client, and when you want to work with the code, then you have to go and get the code from server, download the code, and every time whenever you add, delete, view, edit, anything you want to do with the code, basically you have to have an interaction with the server, and then basically you modify here, but adding there, deleting there, versioning, editing there, and all this thing you do in the server. So this is called server and client model. This is a server, this is a client. Did you understand that, all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Now git is git is not based on the server and client. Yeah, that is the distributed. So git is a distributed. What is the meaning of distributed? See here in the server, what you have, mind it here. In the server, you have a repo, and repo you have a database and file. Here, whenever you get that file, you will have only file, no database. I repeat, in the client, you have only file, no database. Database is here. But in a case of Git, what will happen? This is, let's say, your laptop. This is my laptop. This is her laptop, and this is his laptop. Everyone has their own laptop, and you know what? There is no server as such. You are, let's say, you are working with your own repo. This is repo. Remember, this is repo. He is working with his own repo. I am working with my own repo. Everyone is working with their own repo. Think about it. In this repo, you have a database and files. Database and files. Database and files. See here, database files. Now we have a client, Git client, and we work with a locally here in the same machine. Think simple. So there is no server as such. We work in our local repo itself. In a simple way, if you want to add a files, you want to edit a files, you want to view a files, you want to delete the files, you do everything in the local repo. You do not do with any other repo like a server repo which is located at a server. No, there is no server as such. So here, these all concept, we call it a distributed. Okay, so here you see in this architecture, if you have a 4 people, 4 client will be having. Okay, but each of this client will have only files, no database. But in this case, if you have a 4 people, you have a 4 repo here. Here you have only one repo. Here you have a 4 repo, and each repo has a database and files. So here, if you want to add, edit, delete, view, you run against your local code. But here we run against the command against the server. So this concept, the one which we have, which is in Git, is called a distributed concept. That means there is no server. You modify your own repo. Is that clear for everyone in a short way? All of you?
Yeah. Yes.
So guys, what I'm trying to say here is there is no network required. Yeah. There is no network required, there is no internet required in order to add a file, in order to edit a file, in order to delete a file, in order to compare a file, in order to view the file, in order to branching, in order to merging. You don't need network, because you are doing locally. So that is the reason we call it Git is a distributed. Okay, so do you find any problems in this distributed concept? Do you find any problem? So there's one question which I can read it. So this is okay. I mean, Bhushan, one more thing. You are asking a question in the private mode, so others cannot read you. So you can make it open also. So the question is for the Bhushan is, how does it get distributed to others? Probably his question is not how does it get distributed to others, but the questions which probably you're asking, okay, fine, I am working, I am doing the versioning of my code and working in my repo, in my local repo, but how do I share it with other people? Because all of us are working with their own repo. So how do we share with it? Is that your question? Yeah. So I will answer this question. So yes, guys, this is a distributed. In a simple way, this is a distributed. You know what? Who had developed? Uh, yeah, same question. Yeah. So who has developed this tool? So this was developed by Linus Torvald. Okay, Linus Torvald. Now, who's the Linus Torvald? Those who know that Linux well, you know that he's the father of Linux also. Okay, so he is a father of Linux. He is a father of Git also. Now, why he has coded a Git? There's a good story behind it. I'm not getting into it, but yes, you can Google it and try to find out. So yes, it's a versioning tool for what? Source code management, source code versioning. It is a distributed developed by Linus Torvald. It is a free and open source and platform independent. When I say platform independent means it can work with all, it will work with all the platform, no matter whether it's Linux or Windows. Okay, so this is the simple introduction. Now next question is, why Git? One of the questions I have already, one of the response I have already given, versioning a source code. Okay, simple, versioning of source code. But if I say versioning, I don't know, understand the versioning. So simple thing, I'll put it in a way. I want to know over the period of time, who has modified, think simple, who has modified your code, what code has been modified over the period of time, when it was got modified, why this got modified, and where it got modified. You want to know these answers. Simple way, last year someone has modified this code. Who was that? What was that? When it was that? Why he has modified? Last week, last day, last year, 5 years before. This is all about the versioning of the source code, right? You want to know all this information, and for that Git will help you in it. Okay, so we use for the versioning of the source code. Now I always say I'm always stating it is for the versioning of the source code, not for the binary. Okay, many people store the binaries here also, but it's not good practice. It's not good practice. You should store only the source code. For the binaries, there is a one solution which you have is Git LFS. Git LFS means Git large file system. You can use that for it. Okay, so yeah, you should not store it. There's many disadvantages of it, but right now I am avoiding that topic. Okay, so what is Git? Why Git? Now, next thing is how to work with Git. Simple. How to work with Git. What, why, how. Now, first thing is you have to install the Git. Okay, how to install a Git. So let me tell you here, if you are using Windows or if you are using Linux, RHEL, or if you are using Linux, Ubuntu. Typically, these are the operating system which is a popular, and most of the time we use either Windows or RHEL or Ubuntu. Okay, so typically you have to install in Windows. What you have to do, you have to install from exe. Now the question is, where do we get this exe from? So you'll get it from the gitscm.com. When you go to the Google and type git download and all, it'll take you to the git-scm.com. This is the website where from you get it the download. In fact, if you're using Mac also, it's the same thing. You will get a DMG file, and again you get it from this place. So now how do you install exe? I think you know that. How do you install DMG? I think you know that. But if you want to install in RHEL, then typically we do like this. Or if you want to install through the Ubuntu, then typically we do like this. So yep, it's up to you whether you install it which way. But you know what? When we install through exe in the Windows, we get one utility which I love a lot, which we call it a git bash. Okay. Now our question is, what is a git bash? So git bash is a one tool where you can run basic of Linux command. Mind it here, being in Windows. Yeah, being in Windows, you can run the Linux command. Okay, this is the utility, very good utility. And then color and all, I like it anyways. So yep, those who have not installed the git so far, go to git-scm.com, which you can see I'm showing you the path. Click on it, and here see I have accessed this website from the Windows, so it is showing me Windows. But if you access this website for Mac, it will show you Mac, or Linux, then Linux, all stuff like that. So you will get a exe, and then you can download in Windows, and you can get the git bash. I have already installed it, so I'm not going to install it, but I want to show you here. See here, git bash. Here it is. This is the tool which I was talking about. See, like this. Okay, but guys, these tools which we have is a command line tool. You see here such a nice coloring and all, you get it. Okay, and here is a Linux format. Mind it here, not Windows format. Where are you? What you have in the current directory? See here, like that. So all this Linux basics Linux command you can enjoy here at git bash. The things, the tool is very good. I like it basically. But you know, many people say, okay, no, I don't want to work with command line. I am feeling little scared to utilize my memory. So what do we do in this case? We can use many visual tools also. Visual tools like UI tools. Many tools are there. If you go to this website itself here, and go to the client download version, okay, and here you see GUI client, and click on the view GUI client. So many tools you get it. So many tools. See here, these are the list of tools. See, it depends. Each and everyone has a different kind of, you know, likeness. I mean, depends on which tool you like it. All this tool will do the same thing, okay, more or less, but UI is different. But the one tool which is very popular in this category is called source tree. Okay, source tree. Now this tool is from by Atlassian, same company which is offering your Jira, Teams, Bamboo, Bitbucket and all. So you can use the source tree for it. Okay, so this is the tool. So now we have got to know how to install it. Okay, but okay, after installing, what to do? So the question is, the next question is, working with Git or Git workflow. This is something which you want to learn about it. How to get started, how to work with it, what is a Git workflow. Okay, so this is the topic which I'm going to cover now. But before that, do you have any question? Do you have any question? Any questions anyone have? No? Okay, so now guys, how to get started. So I'll put it everything in the steps, so that way it will be easy for you to you know, understand and stuff like that. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Remember here, I repeat, I am not teaching you how to collaborate. I am teaching you how can I work with my repo. This is my repo. When I say work with my repo, my own repo, that means how can I do this versioning of the source code in my local repo. When I say versioning, that means adding a file, editing a file, deleting a file, viewing a file. These are the typical things you do. Many other things like also you do, like a branching, merging, renaming, cut, move, this, that, and stuff like that, but not complicating everything in one flow. So first thing, whenever you want to start working with the Git workflow, first thing we should do is create a repo. Yeah, create a repo. Same repo which is here, same repo which is here, or here, or here, or in the server concept you have in the server. At last you have to create a repo. Remember, repo contains what? Anyone would like to tell me what repo contains? Anyone would like to tell me?
Database and file.
Wonderful. Yes. Sometimes you call it a metadata also. Metadata means that database which will have the answer of who, what, when, why. What means what is a file, but who, when, why, where, all this meta information of the code which you committed will be, we call it a database. Something similar. So yes, you have to create a repo. That means if you want to version a source code, everyone have to create a repo. Everyone. That's a thing. How many repos you can create? You can create as many repos. I have no issues. You no one has issues, because that's your laptop. You do whatever you want. Okay, so the question is, how do we create a repo? And the command is very simple, git init. But you know what, this command you should run in an empty directory. Many people, what they do, you know, they just open a command line, git bash, and they're bombarding with the commands. So you know, when you do all that, where you are creating this git init repo, this is the user home location. See here, this is the user home location. You want to see that something? See here, this is the place you will create a repo. Do you want? No, I want the empty repo. It's not like I don't want one of these file to be version, right? So you should go, let's say I am going to E drive. So cd E drive. Okay, where I am, pwd. Okay, cd E drive, like this. Okay, so right, I don't have a D drive, I have a E drive. So where I am right now, see E drive. Now what I will do, make directory, what? Git repo, one directory I created, ls, and I will go inside the git repo, and here I am inside a git repo, pwd. See here, I will create one more directory, repo1. I will go inside the repo1. So basically I am inside a git repo, inside a git repo1. Okay, why I have created this directory structure? Because inside a git repo I want to get repo1, repo2, repo3, like that for the demo. Okay, so how to create a repo? How to create a repo? Git init. Let me get init. See here, read this. It states initialized empty git repository, but in where? Look at this, in not repo1. Where is the repository? Look at this. Where is your repository? .git is your repository. I repeat, dot git is your repository. Okay, dot git is your repository. So if you see here, there's nothing. Why? Because it's empty actually. I mean, it's a hidden, sorry. So it's a dot git. Now, if you want to explore that, start dot, you see here, dot git. And many of you might not be having this file visible because they might have to enable view and options, change folder, and this again view, and here you show hidden files and folders and all. You have to enable it. So this is your repo. This is your repo. Whenever you see .git, that is a repo that contains your files and versioning. Okay, in a simple way I'm stating, but there are so many different things also in terms of git repo definition in git, and lots of good topics actually, but right now I'm not complicating because this is a whole new topic altogether. I don't want to deviate from your objective, but that we call it a git internal. If you have an interest to know all this thing in detail, then you can have a studies little bit later. Okay, so now I got a repo. So now guys, what to do? So version your file, that's all. So how do you version? So when you want to version a file, you need to have a work file, right? Correct, you need to have a file. So what we'll do, I am going to create a file. Now how do you create a file? That is your source code. Mind it here, that is your source code. You are going to create it. How do you create? It's up to you. Notepad, Eclipse, Visual Studio, source code, whichever the way you write. I don't know. So I'm creating some of my code. So go to this place, and here new, this is the file 1.java, assuming this is my Java code. Okay, this is the one file I created. It's empty file though. I should add some content. See, this is line number 1, code number 1. Okay, done. So like that, I will add one more file, file 2. I'm writing this code like that. I will add one more file, file number 3, like that. You may have a directory here, src, and add more file. This is a file 4 or something. So you have it, so many directories, files, folders, subdirectories, all this thing, you have it. You add this file. Okay, so you create a file, version your file. So basically add your file. How do you add a file? Create your file. Basically, it's, you know that better than me. Did you understand the step number 2, all of you guys?
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
guys, step number 3, add a file into git. Yes, this statement is a little bit confusing. When I started git in 2007, I guess 7, I was very much confused. What is adding process? What is adding process? But I can answer you this one now very well, but not now, little bit later. What is adding process? But this step number 3 is very important. Add a file to git. What is a git here? So add a file into git repo, we call it. But am I really adding a file in a git repo? All this thing I will answer in some time, but for time being, close your next question. I mean, do not
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
raise your next question. What is adding means? I will explain you little bit later. For time being, add a file into Git repo. Okay, actually this process you can do through git add and file name. Okay, this is the command. Okay, so can I do that? So ls, how many files you have? See here, file 1, file 2, file 3, and one directories, and it has some files also. So can I do this? Git add file 1 dot java. I added. Can I do one more? I'm not interested right now in file 2 and file 3. I want to version only file 1 for time being. Let it be file 2 like that. I have completed a file 1.java, but not 2, 3 and all. I don't want to version it. I don't want to add it. Simple. So I'm happy with that, the file. And then finally, commit a file into Git repo. Git repo. This is also I'm not understanding a concept. Those who are coming with a background of SBN, ClearCase, and Perforce, you will get confused. But not to have any problem. What is a commit? So here you are adding also. Here you are committing also. What does that mean? We'll understand in some time. But for time being, blindly we have to follow. How do you commit? Git commit. Why you are committing? M message first commit. But you know what? You created repo. Think simple. You created repo. You got so many files and folder. You added a file. You committed a file. But the question is, where are you passing your information? Means who has committed? Remember, who has committed? Who are you? Which user has committed? There must be some owner of that commit, right? When I commit, that means there must be some owner of that the code change. Someone should be responsible for that, for it, right? So I have not added it. I have not added it. So am I missing something? Yes, I am missing something. You know what? Whenever you create a repo, this is the only one-time activity. You need to tell Git, who are you? So I'm going to tell him git config user dot name. What is your name? Rajesh Kumar. And git config user dot email ID. What is that? Rajesh at devopsschool.com. So you must be wondering, okay, fine, I pass the username and email ID. Is that the sufficient to identify that who has committed? Yes, that is what. Remember, I repeat, some of you might be thinking, where can I pass the password? User ID, not required here. Think simple. Remember, user ID and password require only and only when you are modifying to the remote repo. See here, this is the client, you are accessing the server, so you should be having genuine request. So for that, user ID and password is been created. In this case, who's modifying the source code? You tell me. Who's modifying the who's adding the things into the repository? You. So do you need a password to modify a files located in a C drive? Do you need to provide a password to modify the files in a D drive? Do you need a password to modify the files inside your Git repo, which is located somewhere in C drive and D drive? No, it's your local repo. You created it. There's no password required. I want to know who has committed, who has changed that file, and for that, this is sufficient information. So can I run this? I should have run it early, but not, just for the discussion sake. I copy paste, and how can I see it? It's a one-time activity, by the way. Each repo you can have. Git config is again is a different topic. I don't want to get lost in each topic because, to be honest, entire Git is a pretty huge course actually. And you see here, where is that? Here it is. Can you see the bottom of the screen, all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So guys, simple. I create a repo, one-time activity, create a file, added a file, commit a file. Did I commit it or not? I forgot actually. Did I commit it? No, I have not committed because I said this. And now I'm committing a file. Okay. And see, I committed. Wonderful. I don't understand that file, what are the output and all, but I committed. But you know, everything is messed up here. Everything is messed up. The question is, okay, fine. I'm understanding this image. I'm modifying everything, versioning I'm storing in the repo, which is my repo. So .git was my repo. And but why I'm adding a file? Why I'm committing a file? What is this? Output is all about it. What is this? So we need to understand all this thing, right? So guys, look at this here. I'm asking you to look at this here. Do you understand this line? Anyone would like to comment on it? Anyone would like to comment on it?
This file is inserted in the local repository. You are committed that file in the local repository. One file
Huh.
which you have added.
And what is one insertion?
You have added only
Inside.
one file and committed one file. No?
No, but I said one insert. See, one file change, that's okay. What is one insertions?
That message, whatever you have insert now, that will be put in metadata database repository.
Message? Which message? This message?
First commit.
No.
Yes.
The new file
That's
insertion in
Maybe
the
it's a
commit.
new file, so one insertion.
no one file change, that's okay. But one insertion, what is that?
New file inserted in the local repository.
No.
Is it file contents 19?
Yes. You know what? That is what I was telling you just 5 minutes before. Git is very interesting tool. See, I've been teaching you one thing. I don't want to confuse you guys, but if you have interest, you can explore yourself. I've been teaching you Git is a versioning control tool. See, but actually, you know what? Git is not at all versioning tool for file. Yes, I repeat, Git is not a versioning tool for file. Yes, SVN is there, CVS is there, ClearCase is there, Perforce is there. Now the question is why I'm saying, see, I taught you Git is a versioning tool for and for the storing the source code file. But again, now I'm saying Git is not versioning tool for file. So why I'm making the contradictory statement? So for this, you need to know how Git works. What is the internal of Git? What algorithm they use and everything. So right now I'm not getting in that mode of that stuff because my topic is not that one right now. But if you have interest, find out why I said Git is not a versioning tool for file, but Git is a versioning for directory. Yes, file system. Sorry, not a directory, file system. Now, what is the difference between file and file system? You need to find out. I repeat, Git is a versioning file system, not a file at all. But Git also version your lines of the code. Take it to lines in each file and store it. So if you add 5 lines, you'll say 5 insertions. You delete 2 lines, you will say 2 negative deletions and something like that. So it's very powerful actually. So many things are there. Git, almost everything is possible, to be honest. But anyways, come back to our main topic. How to create a repo. This is how created. You need to set who are you. This is how. You have to create your file using editor, whichever way you like. Do it. Add a file, commit a file, and now next step is how to see the history. How to see commit. See a commit. So here the answer is git log. This is the last command. So go ahead and git log. And guys, you see here, this is the commit which I have done it. Now understanding this one is very important to all of you. Okay, understanding this one is very important. Now, are you expecting version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No, you won't have. That's the reason I said Git is not a versioning tool at all for the file. It's a file system versioning tool. So yes, you won't find a version like a 1, 2 incremental version like other tools like Perforce and CVS and SBN. No. What is this here? You know, this is a unique. I'm not writing all this thing. I'm just telling you to make you comfortable. You can do little bit of research little bit later. The one which you can find it is a 40 character SHA value. SHA value. What it represent? So guys, this represent your commit which you did here. Yes, every time you commit, you get one SHA, unique SHA, and that will represent your commit. Means you can explore this commit and you'll get all the files you committed here, all the files you added and committed here. So this is unique. But let me tell you one more interesting things. You know what? This unique ID is a globally unique. Yes. When I say globally, that means you will not get this ID ever created and allocated to you. This is how it is. Who claims it? Not I am claiming it. This is claimed by SHA-1. Okay, this is claimed by SHA-1. So the ID which I have got it is universally unique actually. It's a very very less chances to get it duplicate this one. So this is my commit. That means in a simple way, let me tell you here, no matter what will happen to entire universe, entire world, entire planet, no one can claim this except me. That means anyone who will describe this commit ID, only they will find it my name Rajesh Kumar and my email ID. I'll be the author. Only they'll be finding this metadata. Okay, so it's a very powerful. But in a simple way, what do you call it? You know, commit ID. Simple commit ID. That's okay. So this is your commit ID. Now let me show you here all this answer. Who has committed? Log Rajesh Kumar. What was committed? I'll show you git show commit ID. Everything is belongs to the commit ID. Okay. See, this is the line. Only one line I added. So you say, see that the output is little vague, but you will get it. When it was committed, it was committed at this time. Why this guy has committed this code? The message is somewhere here. And where it was committed in the root location here. See here. This is the root location. This visual is little odd, but in if you want to see like this, sorry, this is the root location. Okay, so I got the answer right. So now if you want to version the code, what you have to do, understand that if you want to version the code, create a file, add a file, commit a file, view a file, create a file, add a file, commit a file, view a file. This you will keep doing it. Did you understand, all of you guys?
Yes.
All of you?
Yes.
Any questions? Any questions so far?
Rajesh, how do we roll back the changes?
Yeah, I'm coming back to that. Yeah, so there's one question in the chat also. Let me address. Can we use Git for versioning of database stored procedures? If yes, how? And if possible, can you explain with this example? Why do we need to explain this one? Think in simple way, Mikhil. Why do we need to explain? Simple. I don't care whether it's a database stored procedure or Java code or C++ code. The stored procedures which you have written, is it a text file? Simple. Is it readable by human being or not? Is it a binary or code? You tell me. Is a source code or binary? Mikhil? Mikhil, are you there? Yes, yes. So it's a source code. So yes, any source code you can store in the Git. And I'll tell you in this way, anything you can store in the Git which can be readable and which cannot be readable also, we put it nowadays. Like when readable means PDF is not a source code, it's a binary. Image is not a source code, it's a binary. Movies file it's not a source code, it's a binary. But the one which you're talking about is source code itself. It is some file which you can open. This stored procedures we can open in the notepad also. So it's a SQL file. Yes, you can do that same way. There's no special instruction required for it. Okay, got it, Mikhil? Okay, so there's a file. When I say file, remember guys, you do not say whether Java file or this file or that file. File means file, simple. File means files which a human can read it. If you cannot read it, that's a binary, simple. Binary means image, you cannot read it. Okay, you can see it, you cannot read it. It's executable. PDF, what document is a PDF? I mean executable. PPT is executable. All these things you have to understand that. Okay, so now guys, but you know what, this learning is not complete. I am still get a little bit confused about adding process and committing process. Why we are doing adding? Why we can't directly commit? Or why do we need to commit? Why we are not adding through the repo adding command itself? What is the difference here? So anyone would like to comment on it? What is the difference between adding and comment? Because some of you are already working and probably I'll get a little bit of break, few seconds. So if you talk about it, go ahead.
So, Rishi here, adding
Yes.
somewhere you have not done the complete entire changes, but you want to leave the day. I mean, you want to just be off the computer and you just adding the file. So and you are not committing. And next time when you are coming, you want to start from the last changes that you have made. So until and unless you make all the changes and you commit it, then once you commit it, then it means you have done all the changes and now it's ready for a production or ready for a further reference.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else also would like to add some points?
Committing service here from Rishi Vanas's team. So I would say that committing is like an acknowledging that what I was trying to do or what all changes I have made. I'm acknowledging those changes and want to save it and also share with everyone.
Okay. Okay, guys. So let me tell you here. Okay. So let me tell you here. All of you just listen me carefully. The concept which I am going to talk about now, if you do not understand this concept, let me tell you very straightforward, you will never understand the behavior of Git. You will never understand the behavior. Blindly, maybe you are working, maybe you are adding, committing, doing push, pull, clone, this thing, that thing. You are doing it blindly. Work is happening, work is going and happening. I mean, every day you are enjoying the output of it. But if you do not understand, you do not troubleshoot actually. You do not troubleshoot. You cannot do the things beyond that typical commands which you have learned throughout your work experience. So what is the difference between adding and committing? We should know. Now let's focus on it. So understand this. See here. This is your work area. Now this is my repo. Look at it very carefully. Here you have a .git. What is a .git? It's a repo. So it's a repo. What you have? .git. Okay. This is the .git. This is repo actually. Now what you have here, what you can see here, this is the location. Look at it very carefully, guys. It's the most important topic. Okay, this is the one. So this location, what you can see it here, is my, what we call it, this location, working directory. Sometimes you call it a workspace also, depends on you. Work directory, workspace. What you have .git, it's called repo. So basically you, what you do, see where you modify the file. Remember this location you modify the file. See here, I modify the files here. I modify the files here, this file, that file, and this directory inside that files and stuff like that. I modify human work in the work directory, workspace. And once you complete the code on the work on the file, then you send to the repository. Simple concept. You send to the repository from here. So you modify the file, send it. You modify the file, send it. You modify the file, send it. But this is not a complete picture actually. See, you're just transferring the file from here to here. That's all. You are doing nothing great. You are transferring the files from here to .git. That's all. You are doing nothing great, but little bit something more you need to know. Let me undo the stuff. You know what? .git also divided into two part. Yes. .git is also divided into two part. But what is that? So that one we call it a staging area. Staging. Okay. And one we call it a repo area. Okay. So yes, I've been teaching you, right? .git is your repo, but actually it's not. There is inside one more folder that we call it a repo area. I don't want to confuse you going inside it, but understand the concept. So now my question was, what is a git add and what is a git commit? So let me tell you guys here, simple thing. Now understand that. This is your work area where human modify the code. This is your staging area and this is a repo area. Now where is the staging area and where is the repo area? I'll show you that. So you'll have a memories also. Go to the .git and do you see objects, guys? All of you see objects directory? All of you?
Yes.
So this is your repo area.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you know, yeah. And do you know what a staging area? This is the file. You think it's a file? No, it's executable. Inside that whole things will be created. That's called index. If you call it a staging area or indexing area, both are same. Okay, both are same. Okay, so this is the structure typically. So now again back to the question, what is add? Why do we add? So guys, what we do, we think simple. We modify the code here, file 1. Okay, file 2, file 3. We modify the code here. We write a code here, and what we do, let me change the color by the way. We send it to the staging area. You know, that process is being called as a add. I repeat, what is add? The file sending from the work directory to staging area, this area which is index here inside this is it's a encapsulates a wrapper actually. Okay, so when you want to send the file from the work directory to staging area, that is that process we call it a add. Okay, so you modify the file, add it, got to staging. Modify the file, add it, got to staging. Modify the file, add it, got to staging. Now any file which you stage, you can see it. How? So git status, see here, git status on branch master branching concept, I'll come a little bit later. Untracked file means Git is not able to track this file, this file, this file. Means for Git, these all files and folders is new. So what they are saying, Git is asking add it, and then I'll be started tracking it. So that means Git will only detect, remember, Git will detect the file only for the staging area. So for that you have to add a file. So can you add a file? Git add file to, I'm adding, see, look at this very carefully. This is the most important topic. Okay, so Git status, you see here, new file, file2.java. So why you are not getting report of file1.java? Because remember, the job of the Git is to version the code. Whatever you have here, you should be having here. That's the objective, end objective, and that is done. That is done. Yes. For the file one, why it's not reporting? Because the every content of the file one you have in report through the commit process. So I should tell you now, because I have that code. Whichever the code I don't have, I should report you. I don't have these files. I don't have this file. But where is this file right now? The file has gone, I mean the content has gone to staging area. Remember, I did add here, you see somewhere I did add, correct? See here, I did the add. So now if anyone will ask you what is the Git add is doing, will you be able to answer?
It is adding the file in the staging area.
Staging area. Now there's one more question you must be having it, why we add over there, right? Why we add? We'll come back to that. So now the question is what is a commit? What is a commit, which we have tried here? So guys, you think you are committing this file? No, not at all. You are committing basically the file from the staging to repo. Yes, I repeat, please hard code this statement. Whenever you commit, I repeat, whenever you commit a file from the staging area. That means it's a rule is very simple in Git. You human work file here, add the content. When I say content, add the lines, stage it, and whichever the file you have, stage it, commit it, and it's got into the repo, and that's the place you have a version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. This is how this versioning happens. So now you understand the add and commit. Add means sending a file from workspace to staging. Commit means from the sending the file from the staging to repo area. Repo means it will become object. That's a object directory. Here it is. And this you won't able to understand this structure because it's managed by SHA-1, but like this. Okay. So now did you understand the difference now? What is add and commit? You understood this?
Yes.
Okay. So every time we add and commit. So now the next question you must be having in your mind, why do we have a staging area? So guys, what happens? I'll give you only one reason, though it can have a multiple reason. Based on the experiences, you'll understand automatically. Okay, while working with it. See, I am having think simple. Okay, think simple. I have a 200 file here and directories. I'm working so hard. I'm working so hard. But what I want to do is the moment I feel I have completed some of the files, I should push it to the add. I mean, I should add it to the staging area. Why? So that way I'll get to know, okay, the file which I have in the staging area on which out of 200, I have worked with it. So how do I see the staging area? Okay, so git status. I have this file in staging area, which the work I have completed. This is in working directory, has not gone to the git ever. Now what I will do, I'll modify file1.java. Look at this here, file1.java here, and this is line number of 2 code. And you see,
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
see here, I just modify. Look at the status now. See what you learn. Tell me observation. Tell me observation. What has happened? I modify the file 1. And then remember, file 1 is already in the Git. File 1 already in the Git. Last time it was not showing. The moment I modify the file, it is showing. How come? Tell me. Anyone? So I was telling you guys,
Because this file
remember?
is made into the repository.
Yeah, remember guys, Git status will tell you. I repeat, Git status will tell you. Git status will tell you the content which is not in repo. Yes. Think simple. Git status will tell you the content which is not in repo. So this is not in repo. So it's showing it where it is in our working directory. This is not in repo. It's showing you where it is in working directory. This content is not in repo. Where it is staging area. You see here, this command to unstage it. That means staging area. Where is the staging area? Here it is. Now, this content is also not there. Sorry. Why? This file was there, but I repeat, I said content. Content. I said content. This is a file. Think simple. File 1, 1 line, 2 line, 3 line. I committed it. Content is gone. I added the few more lines. So this new content is not gone actually. Are you understanding it?
Yes.
So one more line I will make it if you want to explore more. Git never store your file. Now you must be getting frustrated with me. One time I'm saying versioning tool, one time I'm saying not a versioning tool. One time I'm saying it's a file versioning, one time I'm saying file system versioning, one time I'm saying it's storing a file, one time I'm storing no, it's not storing a file, it's storing the content. So all this mystery is hidden in the algorithm actually. Yes, that's the reason you were able to see the insertion line, this, that, and all, because this guy will never store the file as it is. It's take the content and put it in a different object, and the file name will become a tree reference actually. So not to confuse you too much, because probably you don't need those stuff to be complicated, but understand that here simple statement I'm making here. This file is there, but the content, up-to-date content is not there. That's the reason status reporting saying that, boss, this file is not there in my repo. Repo means you know that here I'm talking about here. This file content is not there. This file is not there. This directory is not there. All these things you will get to know. So status will tell you which is not there. So status will tell you one more thing. Which are the files which I have added to the repo staging? I can review it. Do I need to commit? So okay, I have in the staging this one. Let me send it to this one also. So git add a file 1, new content, I'm sending it to the staging now. Again, you have to add it again. See here, they're giving you instruction, add it. Okay, so git status. See now 2 files in the staging. If I send git add, you can do all add also in a one go, but one by one I'm showing you, so you'll understand this better way. Git status, you see all this is in staging area. That means content is in staging area. Did you understand, all of you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
But when I commit git, remember I'm committing now. I repeat what I said about the commit. Commit will not take the files from here. Commit will take the file from the staging only. So if you want to have a conditional commit, commit second, and you see, do you want to commit all of it? Run it. The moment I run this commit, this command, everything will get committed and sent to the repo and create a one object. I repeat, one object. When I say one object, this means whatever you see here, this is a one object. This represent one object. So every commit, no matter whether this contain one file or 5,000 files, will create a one object. Okay. So if you have a multiple objects, multiple commit, simple. So you want to commit all of each in one go, run this command. But I don't want. I want to be very particular about it. Only file 2. See here, and you see I just committed. Same thing. Now you see here, file 2 also has a only one line, so it shows you only one line. And now git status. See, file 2 is not showing because content of the file 2 has gone to the repo, so it's not showing. So only the things which is missing is this one. So can I do the last commit everything? This is the third commit, which I want everything in the staging. So that way, now you see here, gone. Everything which was on a staging is gone to the repo, and that's the reason it's not showing. So here the question is why we have the staging area. We have the staging area so we can temporarily review whether we want to send those code or not to the repo. One of the reason. Temporary review places for you, because you cannot review here, so you send it to here and see, well, are you sure these changes you want to send it to the repo? So review it and then commit it. So in a nutshell, guys, you have a 3 area: working directory, staging, repository. Staging, working directory when human works, staging where you send it for the future review and before sending to repo, and from the repo only, from the staging only you can send it to the repo. This is why this process is called add, this process is called commit. Is that clear for everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Any doubts? Any doubts?
Yeah, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, so in IDs that we use, we don't actually push anything to the staging area. So how does it work there? Like in Eclipse or in IntelliJ that we use, we means the files are automatically added to the staging area, and then we just commit it to a repository. So how does it work there?
Okay, you said you don't stage it, but what, see, there is a keyword you have to use very wisely actually, okay? Because if you don't use widely, it create a confusion. You said push. Mindful, I never talked about the push concept at all so far, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing, you said you never used staging and you never did, and can you repeat this question one more time?
Yeah, so I never added files to the staging area. Like I just did my changes and they were like, I could see them in the staging area directly. So how were they added to the staging area? Means in IDs.
Mm, you never did the staging area, but you saw it in the staging area. Not possible actually. You know what? It's not possible. So let me show you the source tree for the time being. Just a second. I don't know whether I have it or not. Let me check. Okay, you have a screen. I mean, you have Eclipse installed in your machine right now.
Yeah, I do, but
Do you
I'm
mind if you
using
can?
this through my phone.
Okay, fine. No, so it's not possible actually. You have to notice those UI actually. Adding is a process which has to be there. Without that, Git won't work. Okay, and the committing from the staging has to be there. Man, you can see the staging area. You can see the once you staging area only you can commit. Now, sometime what happens? Adding and staging can be done together, and that we call it AM. Something like adding and committing together, we can also do that. So that is also possible. That means adding and from here it's committing, but this rule will never change. This is the anatomy of Git, will never change. That means adding, staging, committing, staging to repo. I'm not talking about the push. I'll talk about in
Yeah,
some.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is the thing
Yeah,
that I'm asking.
yeah. Okay, so this is anatomy, this is a behavior, core behavior of Git. Okay, guys, any other question? Okay, so there's one question maybe in a chat box. Let me read it. He's saying, Bhushan, does ID directly put to the stage on saving the code? No. Okay, you have to, I don't know whether you look at it, not any ID you see, staging and commit, you probably doing it together. So directly it will not stage the code that is there. But what will happen while committing it, you are doing the staging unknowingly. That could be a possibility. While committing it, there must be some checkbox adding and all stuff like some. Look at this very carefully. So now you understand the concept. Now you can see the UI of Eclipse and NetBeans, and you understand that what is happening actually. Okay.
Rajesh, just one little question. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So basically, now in one view, whatever code you have done, that you will first add it. Whenever you add it, it will go into the staging area.
Right.
In staging area, you have the authority to commit only files. Suppose there are 3 files, you can only commit 1 file, so it will be go to the repository. Now, suppose
Correct.
you don't want to commit, or rather 2 files, right? And another person working on same repo, and he has came in between. So your staging area and his staging area is different, right? There is no confliction.
Guys, anyone who would like to comment on it? I'm not going to comment on it. Anyone who would like to comment on this?
Yes, because of the staging area and it is a local repository, so it's a different for all the
Wonderful.
users who are working on that.
Wonderful. Yes. You forgot the core concept of Git. I'm not teaching. That's the reason I said pull. I have push, pull. I have never talked about it. It's your
Exactly.
local,
So,
sir. Yeah, it's your local.
So at that same time, can I revert that staging files into my local? Means I don't want to quit at all then.
Yes, why not? I'll tell you. It's very simple, very beautifully architecture actually. You modify the file here, send it here, and from there they commit here. They send it to the repo. Now you want to revert back from here. Very well, you can do that. That's called reverting from the staging. But you know what? This is the V1, V2, V3, V4. Let's say you want V3 here. So it's reverse way also you can check out, right? That's called checkout. You might have done it so many times. Now you're doing revert. Older checkout, older code you are getting in the workspace so human can work, developers can work. See here, it's a very simple process. You modify the code, you keep sending to staging, from the staging commit to the repo, and in the repo you have a pile up of the versions. You want to work with the old versions, check out the old version, and you have here and here the same thing. Beautifully it played out. This is how you exchange. This is how you exchange. Remember always, you work with your own repo. No one will touch your repo. Remember, look at this architecture again one more time. That's the reason I'm not deleted. Everyone work with their own repo here. That means when I say work means adding, deleting, modifying, renaming, copying, merging, branching, everything you do with your own repo. You do not touch anyone else repo. Make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. More questions, guys? Okay, so this is the stuff. Now next question which I'm going to answer is, okay, fine, I did all this thing, I work with my own repo and everything I have in my repo, but how do I share my code with others? How do I get someone else code with myself? These are the two questions. How can I share my code with others? How can I get other code to myself? That we call it how do we work together, code sharing, collaborating, integrations, all this stuff, and branching and merging followed by. So these are the questions I'll try to answer, but before that, yeah, we'll have a break. Even I need it. So let's have one break for 15 minutes, and we're going to meet just after this 15 minutes, and then we'll take these sessions up. Okay, can we go for the break?
Yeah.
Yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
How do we collaborate? This is the question which we are trying to answer. So let's understand first, okay? Because understanding is more important than commands, because command is hardly 2-3 commands. That's all. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Yeah. So yeah, the Bhushan is having question. Does everyone understand collaboration? Yeah. So guys, one more thing, let's say if I'm saying something and if you don't understand, you can speak up, because this is a interactive training. It's not like recorded videos or something like that. Yeah, you have a flexibility to stop me, ask me a question, get it clarified and all. So are you understanding about the collaboration?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, so collaboration means simple, guys, simple things. Let me draw pictures here. Okay, this is Rajesh's laptop, this is my laptop. Okay, this is someone else's laptop, this is someone else's laptop. I need this is a someone else's laptop. Oh, bad image. And this is someone else's laptop, and we know that very well. Understand that and you need to hear my word, actually my statement, because I'll be using this statement very carefully. So you have to understand that I have a repo here, and here I have a repo, here I have repo, and here I have a repo. Let me ask you, when I talk about this repo, which place of this I'm talking about? Anyone has idea? Which place? No. I repeat my question. I say I have a repo here, I have a repo here, I have a repo here, I have a repo here. So which place I'm talking about in this local repo? Which place I said? Which area?
Repo. Repository.
Local
Are you saying this one? Are you saying this
Yeah,
one?
right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, local
Yes. Yeah, so always understand that repo is a place where you have all the versions stored. How it's getting stored, I don't want to get into that, but it's stored. So when I repeat, guys, understand simple way. When I say repo, that means I am not talking about working directory. I'm not talking about the staging area. I am talking about this repo. I have, when you work across the repo, means distributed, this is a distributed, right? This is a distributed. So when you work, only think about this place, nothing else, nothing else. When you want to version, then think about, I modify the code, I send it here, add and commit, and then goes to here. Once it is here, then forget about it. So this is what repo I am talking about. Okay, so I hope it is clear for everyone now. Now next question is, okay, the question was, how do we collaborate? So guys, you know what? It's very simple thing. Very simple thing. Very simple thing. This repo, you have a 1, 2, 3 commit. So what we need to do? And this repo is empty. So if I want, think simple again. Think simple. If I want to give these 3 commit to you, I will push to your repo. How do we push? That's a different question. Forget about that. Let's understand the concept first. I will push to you. So the moment I push my repo to your repo, you will also get all these 3 objects, don't you?
Yes.
And think simple again, back to this image. When you get, I'll just clear this, just a second, give me 2 seconds. Just clear. This is 1, this is repo, this is also divided 1, this is add, this is a commit. Okay, now add and commit. Okay, so now you, if I say this, assuming I'm on this, so you have pushed, I have pushed, so I got the 3 objects. So 1 object, 2 object, 3 object here. Now what you do, take that checkout and you get here 1 and work on it, or 2 or 3. See, reverse process we are doing. Don't you think so? It's a reverse process now, all of you? Guys, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So guys, So actually what you are doing, yeah, that's a checkout, Prahlad, that's a checkout, but we don't do the checkout. There are few commands has been automated. I'll talk about that one. Okay, just be with me some more time. So yes, guys, the thing is what we do. So basically, guys, we are doing nothing, just sharing these objects to different repo, and we call it, that is a push operation. Simple. So you might have done a hell lot of pushes so far. Now you understand the meaning of push. You are doing nothing. You are doing nothing. Just committed commits ID. You are sending to someone else repository. It can be my repository. It can be your repository. It can be anyone's repository. We do the push. But what happens when you, let's say this is me, okay, and I want this guy, this name is, let's say, Kamal, and this is Rajesh, okay. So Kamal has committed on top of it one more commit, fourth. See here, this commit may represent one file or hundreds of file. I don't care. It's all about the commit ID. I have shown you one commit, one object, okay. Each commit will represent the multiple files it may be having it. So I don't care, but this guy Kamal has committed fourth one, but I don't have a fourth one. What do we do? I will pull it. Very simple. I get his object. So basically, if you look at the architecture, it's very simple architecture. We are not doing anything but syncing our repo with each other through the pull and push process. I am repeating this statement one more time. We are not doing anything but syncing. It's a syncing our repository with each other using the pull and push process. Is that clear for everyone? Is that simple concept? Everyone is understood this one?
Yes.
Very simple, we are doing it. Okay, so there's some comments. Let me read it. I have to go out of it. So if the two version on my repository is different from version 2 a machine, basically how to conflict. See, conflict handle is different thing. Okay, see here right now what you are asking, Bhushan, there are two commits. Okay, think simple. There are two commits. You merge branches. You have two branches, two different commit, and you merge, and then there are certain conflicts happen in the files. So how to handle it? But here I'm not talking about that. You need to understand that. Here I'm not talking about how to branch, how to merge. I am talking about how to share the objects. That's all. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I will talk about the branching, merging, conflict resolution after that. First, let's share the object. No, we'll do the things later. Okay. So now we are not doing anything else, but we are resyncing our repository with the objects through the pull and push. Whereas this is my local repo. Okay, we call it LR. I repeat, this is called my local repo, and this is called remote repo because this is located somewhere else. This is remote repo. Now the question you must be having in your mind, okay, fine, I understood this. We are syncing, but how do we do that? Yes, that's the question. How do we do that? This is a different machine. This is a different machine. This is a different machine. Different directory somewhere in the E, D, C, D, whatever it is. How do we do that syncing? So what is happening, guys? Then it is a two protocol which is allowed here. One protocol is HTTP protocol and another one is SSH. For both, for HTTP, you need IP address and then location and username and password of this web server. And for SSH, you need IP address and the location and the key. You need it. How it works, you know that. Most of you have worked with this, so I don't need to teach you. HTTP, whenever you use it, you need a user ID and password. For example, in a GitLab, you can have a both SSH URL, SSH URL, and HTTP URL. Okay, so how do we do that? Using the URL of HTTPS or SSH URL with the password or keys. It works. Okay, wonderful. So I understood by now. We are sharing the repos new objects through the push and pull with each other. And then also the protocol which we use it for sharing with the remote repo and local repo is SSH or HTTPS. And this is I know that you know that because most of you must be working on it. But next question is this the right ways to share it? Is this the right way to share it? And again, I must tell you guys here, I have never talked about the GitLab so far. This is a Git repo. It's a Git repo, Git repo, Git repo. It's there in your laptop. Network through, we are talking through the network. So the question is this the right way? No, it's not the right way. Think simple. We have in this session itself, we have 30 people around. Okay. So if one person has to talk to 29 people just for sharing the code, how much interactions you'll be making? It will be too much of fight, right? It's just for code sharing itself, we will fight too much. Hey, take my code. Hey, you do the pull. Hey, you do the push. Hey, you do the push. Oh, there's a problem. Oh, you do the push. You do the push. It's like a mess. It's a mess actually, right? Don't you think so? All of you?
Yes.
So
Yes.
guys, yeah, it's a mess. Definitely it's a mess. See, so what I'm trying to teach you here is, yes, Git, you have one Git repo, I have one Git repo. We can talk to each other. We can do the push and pull against each other very well through SSH and HTTPS. Very well. But we don't do that. Why? Because of this mess. So what we decided, everyone started complaining about it. We are spending a lot of time on the code integration. It's not a good process. Then someone suggested, see here, don't do integration with each other. Do one thing. Let's have one machine. Think simple. Let's have one machine which is owned by team. Yes. And let's have a repo over there. Very simple. So guys, if you look at the architecture wise, this is just a minimal machine. One system, one VM, whatever it is, I don't care. And the repo, you have it. So this and this, there's no difference except that this is a personal laptop and this is owned by team. Simple. So now people are saying, okay, do one thing, guys, don't do the pull and push to each other. It's like a chaos. We'll be mess. Let's do one thing. Let's have a CR. We call it a central repo. This is called central repo. See here, for me, this is the remote repo. This is remote repo. This is remote repo. This is remote repo. Anything which is not mine, not local, is a remote repo. But this will become also central repo. Why? Because each team can access it. It become a central for the team. So now what we are saying, do one thing. Let's not do the pull and push with each other. Let's push and pull with central repo. Are you understanding it or not, guys?
Yes, we understand.
Yeah, but you know one thing, there is a problem. There is a problem. You guys don't like this one also. Yeah, this is just a bare repo which is owned by the team somewhere located in your lab machine. But we don't want to use it. Why? Git allows this one. Linus Torvalds said you can do that. This is called distributed concept. This is called distributed concept. Everyone, look at this architecture here. Everyone has everything provided they do the push and pull on time. That means even though if out of 5 people, 4 people is dead and 4 people's laptop is destroyed, even if you have one laptop, you get a complete history of your project, code base. History, I said. Everything, because everything you have it. Everyone has everything. Here in the master and slave concept, master and client concept, if this is gone, everything's gone. But here, everyone is gone except one, still you get it everything. This is called distributed concept. Now, next question is, this is also you don't like it. Why? Because many people say, organization say, manager says, developer says, QA people says, operations says, I want rich UI. I repeat, you are saying, I want rich UI on top of this repo. Linus Torvalds said, boss, not interested. We don't have a time for it. You guys said, I want issue tracking here also, that feature also, issue tracking. Then Linus said, no, not interested to develop that feature. Then manager is coming and saying that I want to manage multiple remote repo at one location.
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
Then Git says no, not possible. We don't want to support those features. Someone wants to have a different sort of access. Someone is having admin access, someone is having developer access. Git says no. Someone wants wiki integration, Git says no. Someone has good GUI, Git says no. Someone wants to manage the organization, Git says no. So whatever enterprise ready features you want it, whatever wiki integration, good UI, and issue tracking integration, and anything you want, Git says no. Git says no. Then what do we do? Linus Torvalds said, we are very busy doing the coding for many other things. No. So what do we do? Then that is where some few intelligent people has come and said, no problem. No problem. Linus Torvalds is saying no. Git is saying no. I am saying yes. What I will do? Will you pay me? I will develop a wrapper. I will around the Git. I will develop a wrapper, so you will get a very rich UI. I will develop a wrapper. You get a issue tracking integration, wiki integration, role-based access authentications. You can manage multiple remote repo. You can access through the UI. You can access through the user ID and password. You can access through the token. Every feature I will provide it on top of Git. It's like a framework now. And these companies said, we will have to pay for me. If you want to use it for your enterprise, you will have to pay for me, but we will not charge for those who wants to have an open source project, free project, open public repository, something like that. So these organization, we call it a GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. Amazon is also there, Azure is there, Google is also there. Many players, many vendors is in this domain. And they are doing what, they are creating and offering all these services which Git says no, we will not offer. So now I am asking you, what is the difference between Git and GitLab or GitHub? Did you understand or not? All of you. Did you understand that? What is the difference between Git and GitLab or GitHub? So guys, Git manage your repository, but GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket is a Git repo hosting platform. Hosting is a host your repository, remote repository, and on top of that, it provide a very rich UI, role-based access control, wiki integration, CI/CD integration, many other features which organization, which enterprises needs it. Did you understand that? So Git is different, GitLab is different. In a Git, you should never say Git server, because there is no server in Git. Git is a distributed. But in a GitLab world, you can say GitLab server, because GitLab server you have only one where you host your repository. Are you understanding me, all of you?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So now what to do? Nothing, guys. I have nothing to do here now. On a GitLab, I have nothing to do. What I will do? Everything, I repeat, everything what you wanted to do, I did it in the local. So what I will do? If you want my objects, whichever I have it, git add all, send it to the staging, git commit. This is the all committing, okay? Adding all, committing all added, all committed. Everything is done. It's in repo. Now I want to give it to the whole world. What do we do? I will come here and say git new project. New project means new repository. Here they will ask, do you want to create a blank project, means blank repository, or template, some importing, you want to import some project, or you want to create some more stuff, CI/CD stuff. Like right now, not interested to complicate. Repo. What repo name you want to give it? Project name. So let's say it's a May, right? May 14, something like this. Okay. And you want public or private? Let's make it right now public. Public means it's not like anyone can commit. No, anyone can view, but I only can commit. I mean, I only commit. Sorry, I only can push it. Okay. Private means only the people whom I added can commit. Public only me. And do you want to read me? No, I want the empty one. Create. Simple. Public, private. I created one repo. We call it a project in GitLab. Now, how do I push? Do I have a URL? See, guys, look at this. They're giving you some suggestion. Have you looked at this instruction? Have I gone through all this stuff?
Yeah, before it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is what I taught you, and they are teaching you the same thing. See here, they're creating file manually. They're adding it, committing it, and after that they will do this push. Okay. Before that they will do the clone. What is a clone? I'll talk about little later, but not now. So what I will do, see, this is the repository. Where is a URL for it? SSH URL. Here it is. Where is HTTPS URL? Here it is. Okay. Simple. Everything is so simple. You want to have SSH, you have to add your public key. Your public key means your laptop public key. And if you want to have a HTTPS, I need to remember the password. I hope so. I remember. I don't know. Okay. So now what to do? Manually, I'll just do git. I want to share my repository with whole world. So git push. Where? Which branch you want to push it? By default, is a master branch. I'll talk about the branching concept little later. And master branch. Enter. Simple. I'm pushing my repository objects to the remote repository, and authentication failed. Authentication failed. So I was not expecting this failure, but I was expecting some user ID and password prompt, but I did not get it. Why? So maybe in my machine we have a Windows credential manager, okay, that has a stored some password which is got changed or something. So I have to remove that. Let me do that. So it's not a problem with the Git, it's a problem with the credential manager. Okay, so let's check it out. GitLab. See here. Where is that? I think this one. Okay, I'll delete this. So this is the password which got stored. Remove it. And now if I try one more time, it should prompt me. Sorry. I deleted it, the older one, which got stored. Now it is prompting me. You see here. What is username? SCM Galaxy. To be honest, I don't remember the password. So can I stop the recording?
This conference will now be recorded.
Guys, now you see I pushed it. See here, I pushed it. It's gone. Everything's gone. How many commits I had it? Let me see the git log. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now can I go there and see? Let's check it out. Refresh this guy. There's so many features. GitLab is having so many features. Okay, even though 5 days is less for talking all the features. Okay, now but I want to see the history. Here, all these files has come here. I want to see the commit, 4 commit. So click on the history, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's just like it's a visual. You like a visual better way than command line. So you enjoy here. Now you got this. But you know what, guys? You know what? Running the push command, the one which I run it, just again, this command I run it, I cannot remember this URL all again and again. I will get irritated because I'm a dev team. I do the commit and push 20 times in a day. So do you want me to remember that URL? No, not at all. What I will do, I'll create a shortcut. In Git, we allow to create a shortcut also. How? Git remote add origin. What is this? So here I am adding add a shortcut of remote repo, add a shortcut of remote repo, and the named with the name called origin. Now, can you name origin 1 or can you name X? Can you name Y? Yes, you can do that. But we always use the first remote repo named with origin. Why? It's just a general concept. There's no hard coding. You can keep it anything, but origin is like is a global keyword which we all remember. So that's the reason we call it a first remote repo origin. So this remote repo aliases I have added. So next time what I will do, I will not remember the whole URL. I will just remember origin. So what to do? See here, touch rajesh.txt git add dot git commit -m Rajesh. Do you understand this command or not? Do you understand this command or not?
No.
No.
Why no? Why no?
What does the touch command mean? What does it do?
Okay, I understood. Sorry about that. Okay, so I assumed like you know the basics of Linux. Touch means there is a Linux command which will create that empty file actually. That's all. Okay, just like a cat command, vi command is like a touch command to change the timestamp, but in this case it will create an empty file. Easy way. I'm a lazy guy, so I'm creating that file rather than going to Explorer, create a new file. Huh?
Are you creating like sh file or bat file combination of commands?
No. Okay.
No, all commands are in a single line.
Yes, correct.
Touch.txt will create a text file. Then
okay, so,
after semicolon git add will be.
Got it.
You understand now?
Yes, after semicolon, those are separate commands which can be fired on separate line. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. I am lazy, so I'm doing it. Why? I need you to understand this command because in the branching and the merging, I'll be doing a lot. That means manually I'll create this file, then add it to staging, then commit to repo, done. In one go, I did it just to save time. Okay. Now you see here why you have a zero insertion. Tell me. You tell me. Anyone would like to tell me why we have zero insertion?
It is an empty file.
We only
right. Wonderful. You guys got it. It's an empty file, so zero insertion, zero line, right? But this time I want to send it to the GitLab. So what I'll do, master git. Now see here, the aliases which I added using this command origin. I don't need to remember this whole URL. I just need to remember origin. And this is what GitLab also has told you. When you create a new project, they ask you. Let me show you that stuff if I can get it. I cannot get it. I have to create a new project now. Hold on a second. Let me create one dummy projects. Okay, and I'll show you. Everything is a well-planned way. Where is that? My UI is little slow, so just bear with me. It's not responding. So new project. If you look at it very carefully, the GitLab, they'll tell you all this stuff, but you need to understand. And most of you might have worked with it. For few of them, this project will be. So let's a dummy one or something like that. Okay, and I'll create some public create project. So now if you see here, they give you the hints, everything, whatever I'm teaching you, they give you the hints. Where? Let me show you here. See here, they ask you, see here, if you have existing repository, see here, pushing to an existing. So do one thing, create aliases. See here, remote add origin, and after that push. This is what I did just now. Did you understand, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had an existing repository, so I just pushed it. I'm just pushing it, and you see this is the next commit. I had a 4 commit. This will be 5th one, I guess. And you see it's gone. Can you go and check again? I have to click on it. My UI is little slow, don't know why. And you see here, May 14, I should be having one more commit. This is rajesh.txt, I should see, right? And see here you have. So guys, this is the way what you will do now onwards. See here, very simple thing. It's very, very simple thing. Now onwards, you will write a code here, add a file, go on to staging, commit a file, go to repo. From here, you will push to the GitLab. From the GitLab, anyone who wants that code will get it. Simple. So this is the workflow. Did you understand, all of you? How do we collaborate?
Yes.
Yes.
But guys, there is one more command which, there is one more command which I must tell you.
Can you please explain what actually private and public project means?
Okay, simple thing. Private and public. Anyone can see. Only owner can push. Simple.
Got it.
Only allowed person can see. Owner and allowed person, those who gets the access, can push. In simple way. The many other functionalities are there.
So it is basically based on push.
Yeah. Okay, one more thing I have not said right now. You might have seen it. There is one clone command. So now guys, I think I need help from each one of you. So there's one clone command, git clone and URL. What is the meaning of it? Can you tell me what is the meaning of it?
It's cloning the repository to your local machine.
Correct. Yes. So guys, here what is happening? See here. In this case, I had a repo. From here, I push to the GitLab. But let's say this is the Ramu. Ramu has not got this repo. So remember, very simple concept. Push and pull happen only if the two repo exist. Okay, between the pull and push happens only between the two repo. But in this case, Ramu has no repo. GitLab has all repo. So in that case, first I will clone it. Then I will get everything. Clone means you get entire repo copied to local. And then after that, add file, commit file, push. That's all. Did you understand that, all of you? All of you?
Yes.
So guys, can we do that? So guys, I am going to do that. So this is my May 14. Where the URL is here, and HTTPS I'm using for time being. See here, I'm working like a 2% right now. I have to work. So this is the repo one, and git clone. I'm working like another person right now, behaving. Sorry. Git clone, and there's some noise coming from someone. I don't know. If you can mute yourself, that will be great. Okay, here I'm cloning. So I'll clone as if I don't have that repo. Okay, so now see, this is my repo, user one. This is the user two repo. Actually, if you see here, git log, you see all the commits you have. This was the last commit I did and pushed to the GitLab. So clone means in cloning entire repo, you get it. So guys, did you all understood all of stuff what I did?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So after that, we will spend some more time on the Git branching and merging, but not now. I have to give you 20% lab also as per the discussion. So 20 minutes we have before going for the lunch. So whatever the notes I have created for each one of you, I am going to share the URL of it. Just give me 2 seconds. And 20 minutes, you have only 5 commands I'm asking you. Git init, create some file, add, commit, push, and send me that URL on GitLab. I repeat, GitLab, because you guys all are using GitLab, right? All of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to, yeah. So you have to give me that. So can you spell it? Your company name, I just missed out few spelling mistake I might do. Can you spell it, please? M-O?
SAMBW.
S-A-M-B. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So this notes will be available for you every time you want to refer, and recordings I'll share with you later. Okay. Because right now it's not needed. So this is the notes available for everyone. Anyone can see, there's no problem in it. So I'll give you 20 minutes now. What is the time now? Oh, it's 12:45. So you have 20 minutes at max. And in that, what you need to do, you need to give me one URL of GitLab public repo. I remember public repo, I can see it if you have committed multiple times. So I can see it. So public repo, and that is the objective. That's an assignment you have to complete. So URL, you have to send it to me so I can immediately see. Remember, you have to create a public repo. Do not create a private, others you have to add me. I don't want that stuff right now. So go ahead.
Actually, we have GitLab at our company premises. So our IP address like 192.168.0.8. So like that, our public GitLab is installed. I don't think you can access it.
No. I said GitLab, cloud one, just like I have used it.
Are you, Rajesh, you mean GitHub, correct?
No. I am saying GitLab.com. It's like a GitHub.
It's on public. You have to create an account over there.
Correct. Yes, it's just to take 20 seconds to create one account. Just like a GitHub.
Because we all have our own company premises, na? So we are thinking about this. You have to create.
No, don't use that. Remember this GitLab.com and GitHub, GitLab Enterprise, the one which you are using inside a company premises, both are same actually. Okay, so no problem. Just installation copies are different. I repeat, GitLab.com. You access it. Register one account. Is a free. Is everything nowadays is free. You just have to have a time for it.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.